Good afternoon. Your Excellency, Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Ms. Oneige Waldron, Honorable Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Mr. Charles Ramson, Honorable Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports, Mr. Robert Prasad, Foreign Secretary, Her Excellency, Ms. Lillian Chatterjee, Canada's High Commissioner to the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, Mr. Raymond Davidson, Acting British High Commissioner to Guyana, Directors and members of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launch of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce in Guyana. My name is Natalia C. Prasad, and I'm delighted to welcome you here in my role as the inaugural Chief Executive Officer of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce. I will be your MC this afternoon. It is a great honor and at the same time a great responsibility to lead the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce at a time when not only Guyana is undergoing an economic transformation, but the entire world is transforming. Transforming in the way it does business by embracing technology, and as we rise to meet the challenge of COVID-19 global pandemic, and transforming how we live by reminding us of our core values and responsibilities to each other. Under my tenure, the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce will strive for innovation, inclusiveness, and collaboration. We understand that by working in tandem with all stakeholders, both private and public sector, we can serve the needs of our diverse members and community. We are excited about the growing trade and investment opportunities that exist between Canada and Guyana, and how we at the Chamber can help facilitate more business between our two great countries, and find synergies that bring Canadian investments into Guyana to help in its economic development, and also encourage and foster Guyanese trade and investment into Canada. As our two nations continue our journey as partners, I ask you all to please stand for the Canadian and Guyanese national anthems. We have a brief recorded message from the Honorable Perrin Beatty, President and CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, Canada's largest and most representative national business association with over 200,000 members.
Hello, I'm Perrin Beatty, President and CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Well, particularly given the weather in Ottawa these days, I wish I were able to join you in person. I'm delighted to be able to participate virtually in the launch of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Canadian Chamber, we're Canada's... Hello, I'm Perrin Beatty, President and CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Well, particularly given the weather in Ottawa these days, I wish I were able to join you in person. I'm delighted to be able to participate virtually in the launch of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Canadian Chamber, we're Canada's largest business association, representing companies of all sizes in all sectors and regions of the country. Now, one theme that we hear consistently from our members is about the need for Canadian companies to diversify where they export and invest. With offices in Georgetown and Toronto, the Canada-Guyana Chamber is well positioned to help businesses build on our country's shared history and increase two-way trade. Chambers of commerce around the world provide an opportunity for businesses to network with local companies and with government, and to build relationships that will ultimately increase the success of all of our businesses. Now, congratulations to Natalia, your CEO, and to the Canadian High Commission for their work in making today a reality. We wish your organization all the best.
Our first speaker is Mr. Anand Bihari. Mr. Bihari is well known to many of those gathered here today. Mr. Bihari is the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce chairperson. He also holds the illustrious position of chairman of the Bihari conglomerate, which includes Edward Bihari and Company Limited, Sterling Products Limited, Guyana Bank for Trade and Industry Limited, and Guyana America's Merchant Bank, Inc., as well as Nalico and Nafico. The Bihari Group is an 86-year-old conglomerate with a long history of dispensing its corporate responsibility through support to sport, country-ride feeding programs, medical outreaches, education, and many other philanthropic ventures. Mr. Bihari?
Your Excellency, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Ms. Onish Waldron, Honorable Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce. Mr. Charles Ranson, Honorable Minister of Culture, Youth and Sport. Mr. Deodat Indar, Honorable Minister within the Ministry of Public Works. Mr. Robert Prasad, Foreign Secretary. Her Excellency, Lillian Chatterjee, Canada's High Commissioner to Guyana. Mr. Raymond Davidson, Acting British High Commissioner to Guyana. Mr. Mark Cullinane, Deputy Chief of Mission, U.S. Embassy. Founding members of the CGCC, members of the board of CGCC, distinguished guests. The Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce has at its core its mission, which is to facilitate two-way trade and investment between Canada and one of the world's fastest-growing economies, Guyana. The Chamber will have offices in both Toronto and Guyana and plans to offer advice and concierge services to its members and others looking to do business in both Canada and Guyana. The Chamber will also serve as a business advisory body to governments on bilateral matters related to trade and investment in both Guyana and Canada. Members of the CGCC will have access to a wide network of entrepreneurs and decision makers to help create and facilitate business opportunities. The Chamber intends to be a centralizing hub for the diaspora to re-engage in their homeland. The Chamber's founding membership already spans a wide array of sectors such as banking and finance, human resources supply and management, food and beverage production, retail, insurance, international charitable organizations, logistics, medical services, mining, oil and gas exploration, oil and gas services, and construction materials and hardware supply. This is reflective of Your Excellency's drive for a highly diversified economy that will not be oil and gas dependent. Our inaugural board is reflective of this diversity of purpose, and it is my honor to introduce them to you today. If you look to the screen, you'll see some of them highlighted there. Mr. Winston Kasim, co-chair, Canada-based, President of Winston Kasim Consulting, Chair of Global Monitoring for IDRF, retired Royal Bank executive, accredited corporate director, and recognized with the Order of Canada and the Queen's Diamond Jubilee Medal for global volunteerism. Winston, I see you. Can you wave? There we go. Ms. Patricia Bacchus, right behind me, Board Secretary, Managing Director and Board Chairperson of Caribbean Container, Inc. Since 2019, Ms. Bacchus has also been serving as a director on the board of Demerara Tobacco Limited. Mr. Suraj Matai, where are you? There you are. Board Treasurer. Suraj is the youngest Suraj is the Chief Operations Officer of NNS Matai. He is also the youngest member of the CGCC Board of Directors and also serves as head of the Finance and Audit Committee. Mr. Farid Amin, former Ontario Deputy Minister of Economic Development and Trade and Deputy Minister of Small Business and Entrepreneurship. Dr. Vishnu Durga, where are you? Back there. Managing Director of NSBO Mega Guyana, Inc., a global technical staffing company. Vishnu holds a PhD in management, specializing in entrepreneurship, as well as an MBA. Ms. Karen Hawko, you can wave, Karen, I can see you too. President of Karen Hawko Group, a former chair of the Newfoundland and Labrador Oil and Gas Industry Association. Karen is an accomplished communications and reputation strategist, stakeholder and professional project manager, local content diversity advisor, negotiator, and facilitator. Mr. Shabir Hussain, who is also on screen, Executive Director of Banks DIH, Director of Banks Automotive Services, Inc., Director of Guyana Power and Light, Inc., and Honorary Consul of Sweden to Guyana. Mr. Andrew Mendez, behind me. Managing Director of Farfan and Mendez Group, comprising of Mine Services, Suriname NV, Jaguar Oilfield Services, and Panthera Solutions. Andrew is also the 2020 laureate of the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence in Entrepreneurship. Dr. Suresh Narayan, on screen, Professor of Physics and Astronomy and Chemistry at Trent University, Director of the Trent Center for Biomaterials Research and Natural Sciences and Engineering Research Council of Canada, Industrial Chair in Lipid-Derived Biomaterials. Mr. Anthony White, also on screen, Chief Executive Officer of Go Integrated Group of Companies, which includes Go Logistics, Go to Home, Empire Direct Appliances, Burada Logistics, Strategic Logistics Services, Citrus Personnel, White Capital, Inc., Anthony James White Holdings, and Sulpana Automotive Leasing. Ms. Liz Wyatt, who is in the room, there she is. General Manager of Sol Petroleum in Guyana. She holds the designations Chartered Life Underwriter and Chartered Financial Consultant, and Fellow of the Life Management Institute, and licensed under the National Association of Securities Dealers in the United States, NASD. Mr. Scott Young, on screen, Vice President, Corporate Development, JHI Associates, Inc. Scott has expertise in natural resources, finance, and extensive institutional finance networks in North and South America, Europe, and Hong Kong. I also cannot forget Mr. Richard White, a founding director who passed away on September 17th this year, having worked for most of this year towards the launch of our chamber today. Today, I recognize his immense contribution in getting us to this point today. I know his family and his friends are watching this event, and to them, I assure you, his legacy is here with us and will always be a part of the Canada-Guyana Chamber. The bedrock on which our chamber is built is the confidence reposed in us by our founding members, without whom none of this would be possible. It is my privilege to recognize them today for what they are, the very foundation of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce. And they are as follows: Banks DIH, Caribbean Surgery Inc., Catalea Energy Limited, CGX Energy Inc., Mr. Dean Hassan, Demerara Distillers Limited, Edward B. Bihari and Company Limited, Empire Plus Home and Commercial Inspection Services Inc., Goffson's Industries Limited, Geico Construction and General Services Inc., Go Logistics Inc., Gold Source Mines Inc., Gold X Mining Corp., the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador, Guyana Bank for Trade and Industry Limited, Guyana Goldfields Inc., Geissens Oil and Gas, the International Development and Relief Foundation, JHI Associates Inc., NNS Matai and Company, Nalico Nafico, NSB Omega Guyana Inc., Panthera Solutions Inc., Precision Truck Lines Inc., Royal Bank of Canada, Scotiabank Guyana, Sterling Products Limited. To our founding members, thank you for sharing in the vision of the Canada-Guyana Chamber, the confidence you display in that vision and in your chamber. The chamber has already taken steps to safeguard value for its members through its organizational structure. One of these steps is hiring our Chief Executive Officer, Natalia C. Prasad. She brings a wealth of experience to the table and will run the chamber in both Guyana and Canada. The board will take a policy creation and guidance role, while Natalia and her team will be fully in charge of all operational matters. She will be the face of and spokesperson of our chamber. We look forward to serving the needs of our membership and the wider community in Guyana and Canada. High Commissioner, this chamber is one of your last legacies to Guyana and to Canada. We thank you for your leadership. Hang on, let me get over there. We thank you for your leadership in bringing this chamber to fruition. It is only fitting that we launch your brainchild just before you depart these shores for your next post. It has been a joy for all of us to have worked with you to make the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce a reality, and you will greatly be missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bihari. Next, we have a message from the Honorable Andrew Parsons, Minister of Industry, Energy, and Technology for the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador, a province which shares a similar history of economic development to Guyana and one of our founder members.
Thank you so much for this invitation to speak at the official launch of the newly formed Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce. The Government of Newfoundland and Labrador recognizes the importance of becoming one of the founding members of this organization. We view this as a very important step in solidifying the relationship between our two countries and between the business communities of both jurisdictions. Just in the past few years, Majority Guyanese-owned partnerships have been formed with Newfoundland and Labrador-based firms, creating successful ventures that benefit both of our business communities. I point to Panthera Solutions, Inc., formed by Crosby Group Limited and Farfan and Mendez Limited. This joint venture has hired and trained local residents and is delivering services to offshore Guyana. As many of you know, Andrew Mendez from Farfan and Mendez sits on the Chamber Board. Action Invest Caribbean, Inc. has partnered with NSB Omega to form NSB Omega Guyana, a majority Guyanese and woman-owned technical services company providing workforce solutions for Guyana's oil and gas industry. Dr. Vishnu Durga, Managing Director of NSB Omega Guyana, sits on this board. And Karen Hako Group has joined with Saga City Media to form Guyana Strategic Services, a joint venture offering consulting services targeting Guyana's oil and gas sector. Karen also sits on this board. A sure sign of our partnership is that 3 of the 12 Canada-Guyana Chamber Board members are directly involved with Newfoundland and Labrador-Guyana joint ventures. We believe that our founding membership sends a clear signal to the Guyanese and Canadian business communities that we are a committed and steadfast partner in this market. We are proud to be a part of strengthening these newly established trade relations. On behalf of the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador, congratulations on the official launch of the newly formed Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
We also have a message from Mr. John Hannaford, the Deputy Minister for International Trade for Global Affairs Canada.
Hello, everyone. Bonjour, and congratulations on this landmark achievement. I'm delighted to join you virtually for the launch of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce, although I wish I was there personally, especially in December. This launch represents a historic moment for the business and private sector networks of our two countries, and a dedicated space to continue building on our strong bilateral trade and investment relationship. Canada and Guyana have developed important trade and investment ties in mining, forestry, agriculture, the financial sector, and oil and gas. As Guyana grows as a major oil producer, Canada will remain by your side and further develop commercial partnerships while providing important capacity building. As the world works to recover from the pandemic, the need to expand and strengthen international trade and investment has never been greater. And the timing to launch this new chamber has therefore never been better. The chamber can further facilitate Canadian companies' enhanced presence in key priority sectors and new ones, while enabling Guyanese companies to increase their investments in Canada. Extensive people-to-people links also enable the rich commercial relationship between our countries, with almost 1 million people of Caribbean descent forming the diaspora in Canada, including a large Guyanese Canadian diaspora. I am pleased to hear that the Chamber will also promote important values of inclusion and gender equality, encouraging women entrepreneurs, small business owners, and entrepreneurs from underrepresented groups to take part in trade opportunities. As we launch the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce today, I'd like to recognize the leadership of the founding board members, which include a diverse membership, including Scotiabank, Royal Bank of Canada, Sol Guyana, the Government of Newfoundland, and several Canadian oil and mining companies. I know this chamber is the culmination of a lot of hard work, and I congratulate all of those who have dedicated time and effort to this achievement. I look forward to learning of the many impressive, innovative, and successful collaborations born from the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce in the future. Thank you, and merci.
It gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Lillian Chatterjee, the Canadian High Commissioner to Guyana. In 2019, High Commissioner Chatterjee, at the 152nd anniversary celebration of Canada Day at the Marriott Hotel Georgetown, announced that a Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce would be established. In her remarks about the relationship between the two countries, Her Excellency said, "We were here when you had no oil. We have accompanied you in all stages of your development when very few were here to support you. We are not your donor, we are your partner. And you can count on Canada to continue to partner with you as we cultivate our gardens of liberal democracy so that all of our citizens can flourish. Hi, Commissioner Chatterjee.
Good afternoon. Your Excellency, Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, Minister Anuj Waldron Alcock, other ministers of the government, Anand Bahari, Chair, and Winston Kassim, Co-Chair, and Natalia C. Prasad, CEO, and all the members of the board and founding members of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce, and all other protocols observed. This is a very special day. As Natalia said, I first announced the creation of this chamber at our Canada Day event. We had planned to launch the chamber at the end of April, and unfortunately had to postpone the launch due to COVID. So I'm delighted that I can speak to you today at the request of the Chamber Board at the inaugural launch of the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce as my last public speaking engagement before I leave Guyana. Many of you have recognized my efforts over the last 2 years in speaking both on my own and with my ABEU colleagues in support of free and fair elections in Guyana. Some of you have told me this is what I will be remembered for. But I have a confession to make. I hope I will be remembered for something else. I hope my legacy will extend to the establishment of this chamber. And perhaps, maybe 10 years from now, or even 20 years from now, the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce will invite me back to participate. We spent over a year forming this chamber. I hosted monthly breakfast meetings while busy Guyanese and Canadian private sector leaders defined what kind of chamber they wanted. In those early days, 2 people in particular, Winston Kassim, a retired Royal Bank of Canada executive, and Farid Amin, another Guyanese Canadian who was the former Deputy Minister of International Trade for the Government of Ontario, played a key role. I played a facilitating role with the delicate task of approaching potential members to part with their money for membership fees. To date, the Chamber has already raised funds to be sustainable for its first 2 years, with offices in both Georgetown and Toronto. So why the Chamber when there are so many respected private sector associations that already exist in Guyana? I speak of GCCI, the Private Sector Commission, GMSA, and AmCham, none of whom are our competitors, but allies in our common cause of prospering Guyana and its citizens. I've said it before and it is worth repeating, especially today. Canada has been a long-standing partner of Guyana not only decades, but for centuries. Newfoundland traded its cod for Guyanese rum as far back as the 1600s. So it is fitting that the government of Newfoundland, as well as many Newfoundland companies, are founding members of this chamber. Between 1929 and 1971, a high-profile Canadian company, Alcan, operated in Guyana and was key to Lyndon's development. Scotiabank, another founding member, has been in Guyana for over 52 years. There are many other founding members, too numerous to mention, who have been operating in Guyana for decades. So it is about time we recognize the obvious. Canada and Guyana have built a strong history together, and the establishment of this chamber is a natural extension of our long partnership. Canadians are not flashy. We aren't in the news, and when Canadians do make the news, most people don't even know we are Canadians, whether it is Alexander Graham Bell or Elon Musk. However, most people around the world know and have used Canadian products and services, such as the BlackBerry or Trivial Pursuit, or in today's world, Uber. While we don't make the headlines, we do get things done in our typically understated Canadian way. Canada is not a superpower, but we are a super partner. Canada and Guyana have many things in common. We were both former colonies. In fact, Canada was colonized by both France and the UK. We are both members of the Commonwealth and the OAS. But I believe what we have most in common is that we are both countries with rich natural resources on which we rely to grow our economies. So Canada understands Guyana. Canada is a trading nation who relies on a rules-based international economic order to ensure a level playing field for our goods and services. And Guyana needs that too. With a projected 26% growth rate in 2020, the IMF predicts Guyana will be the fastest growing economy in the world this year. In addition, its GDP of US $6.8 billion is expected to more than double in 5 years to exceed US $14 billion. Guyana's rapid growth and need for goods and services provides opportunities for foreign direct investment. What Guyana lacks is a skilled and sizable labor force to benefit from the explosive growth that is coming to Guyana. You are already witnessing an influx of global political leaders and investors who want to do business in Guyana. Get ready. This is just the beginning. While it is reasonable for foreign investors to want to profit from Guyana's success, it is equally critical that they contribute to Guyana's development for the benefit of Guyanese citizens. People have expressed concern that foreigners will take your jobs, skim the profits, and leave you with the scraps. From what I have witnessed with how your government is interacting with Canadian investors, I can personally attest that your government is insisting that external investors train and employ Guyanese citizens and is extracting maximum benefit for Guyana. So who can you trust? This is where trusted partners like Canada come in. We were here when you had no oil. She took my line. We have been a strong and reliable friend for more than a century, and we have supported your development all along the way. And Canada has benefited too, not only with our exports to Guyana, but the most important export that Guyana gave to Canada, your people. We have been blessed with a large Guyanese Canadian diaspora, now in its third generation in Canada, and many of them are now giving back to Guyana. We need only to look at the founding members and board members of this chamber, Anand Bahari, Winston Kassim, Tony White, whose company Go Logistics ranks 75 out of 400 of Canada's top growing companies. In Canada, we are proud of our dual citizens, and I, for one, am happy to see Guyanese Canadians seeking to support Guyana now by applying the expertise and skills they gained in Canada. In the end, it all comes down to partnership. This is the Canadian approach. We will not flood you with an influx of Canadian employees. We will provide Canadian expertise, but in order to have true partnership, Canadians will rely on training a skilled workforce in Guyana. But let me be clear, that workforce does not exist right now in Guyana. You do not have the population yet to be the engine of your rapid growth. Many oil-producing countries in the Middle East understood that. So you should accept that others, and I suspect they will mostly come from your geographic neighbors from CARICOM and the Americas, to support your growth at the outset until Guyana can supply the skilled workforce it needs. Even today, Canada welcomes immigrants to provide the skilled workforce we need to fuel our growth. Don't resist foreign investment, but use your judgment on who you can trust. Our Canadian Trade Commissioner Service laid the groundwork in Guyana in facilitating approximately 20 partnerships between Canadian and Guyanese private sector organizations in the oil and gas sector. We also spearheaded the signing of a 3-year MOU to share public sector expertise between Newfoundland's Ministry of Natural Resources and the Government of Guyana. You can rely on the Canadian High Commission to continue its strenuous efforts to promote Canadian and Guyanese collaboration in a broad range of sectors well beyond oil and gas. And today, you have an additional leverage point, the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce, which intends to grow its membership in Canada in order to increase two-way trade between our two countries, as well as to increase the number of joint ventures. Let me give you a scoop. While I'm not at liberty to reveal the names yet, in January, there will be an announcement of a major Guyanese private sector company merging with a very large, influential Canadian private sector company. The latter has been an important jobs creator in Canada and has, over the last 8 months, supported its Guyanese partner with management services and capacity building in its non-oil and gas-related business that helped improve the local Guyanese partner with its overall performance. The wider partnership is an example of the value add and benefits to local businesses that true partnerships with reputable Canadian companies can bring to the Guyanese business community. Fundamentally, partnerships are based on trust and a level playing field for both Canada and Guyana. Win-win for both sides is how we will prosper together. Since this is my last public speaking engagement, I wish to end on a personal note. I won't lie, it has been a challenging posting in Guyana, and I have experienced the good, the bad, and the ugly. But it has also been a rewarding one. I never realized how strong the ties are that bind Canada and Guyana together until I arrived here. No matter where I have traveled in Guyana, and I have traveled to every region, I always discover a Canadian connection. Sadly, Canadian diplomats over the years have lost the corporate memory of our historic relationship. Please be patient as you re-educate each new wave of Canadians who arrive at your shores. Even though we are well briefed about the strong relationship between Canada and Guyana, we are never fully prepared for the high profile we enjoy here. We are Canadians after all. However, when I leave Guyana next Friday, I will leave with fond memories of genuinely hospitable, warm, and welcoming people. A beautiful country that I hope retains its natural beauty the way Canada has in spite of development. Canada has worked with every government since your independence, and we will continue to do so in the future. You see, the strength of our relationship is not based on individuals, be they politicians or public officials from each of our countries. Your citizens and our citizens will insist that no matter who is in power in Canada and Guyana, and no matter who represents each country in our respective diplomatic missions, that all of us continue to preserve and deepen our long-standing bond. So as I pass the baton to my successor, I thank you all for your generosity and kindness. No matter where I am, I will always wish the best for you. Thank you.
Thank you, High Commissioner Chatterjee. Our keynote speaker is His Excellency Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana.
Thank you very much, and thank you for all the kind words you're about to say too. Thank you very much. Please be seated. I'm very, very pleased to be in this room this afternoon with what I consider friends of Guyana. Many of you who I know personally, and many of you who would have spent all your life so far contributing to the development of Guyana and would have played an important role in molding the relationship between Guyana and Canada. But before I proceed, I must acknowledge our dear High Commissioner, a friend of Guyana, someone who has left a strong legacy, big shoes to fill as the new High Commissioner arrives, but someone who is a reliable partner and one who has really advanced in an aggressive way the relationship between Guyana and Canada. I know all Guyanese would join me in saying thank you very much for the service you give to Guyana and the representation you give for Canada. In this room also, I must acknowledge the Private Sector Commission, AmCham, and I'm very happy that you're all in the same room. As High Commissioner said, this is not a competition. This is not a competition between chambers. I know many of you share membership in all the chambers. Very, very interesting. So you have shared loyalty to all the chambers. But more importantly, all of you have a common interest, and that is to see greater collaboration, greater facilitation, better coordination, better mobilization. Of course, all of this lead to some amount of standardization in which you do business and carry out your business. And eventually, with your work, this would revitalize and energize the interests in both Guyana and Canada. The importance of this chamber is to help to organize this work and to bring structure to the work in energizing the business environment both here and in Canada. High Commissioner, you made a point about Guyana not falling into the trap of resisting foreign investment. I want to assure you that the government of Guyana would not resist but assist foreign investors. There is no point of saying we are part of a global environment, of understanding we are competing in a global environment, of understanding that we are part of a global network, but at the same time, do not recognize that we are also part of global competition. But it is how we manage this global competition. And this is why I said before our local private sector, and I must congratulate them, they need to step their game up, and they're stepping the game up. I have all confidence in the private sector of Guyana and the leaders in Guyana that they will step their game up and they will be equal partners wherever they go. There will be partners that will fit the bill. There will be partners that will become capable, that will achieve the technological transfer that is needed to manage the new economy. But equally, I'm sure the private sector by now agrees that there must be a period of transition where the skills is not there, the technology might not be there, and even the capital will not be there. So it is very, very important that we build and collaborate with partners internationally. Today, we are building and collaborating between Guyana and Canada. And this collaboration must be to the mutual benefit of the investors, but more importantly, to the benefit of the country. The role of the government is to facilitate the relationship. We depend on you, the private sector operative, to ensure that that relationship and that investment rebounds to the benefit of the Guyanese people. And that is where the role of the government is. So I read constantly different opinions, and I respect every single opinion on the role of foreign investment in our new economy. I read the criticisms, and I read the positives. But important enough, the government understands the reality. And I think the private sector here in Guyana and the global private sector understands the reality. And that is why it's so critical for us to match the skills, match the technology, and bring together that capital investment and framework that is needed to take our country forward. At the end of the day, as High Commissioner rightfully points out, the nature of the economy in the next 3 years, the structure of the economy in the next 3 years, the requirement of the economy in the next 3 years, and note I'm not speaking here about oil and gas, that's not the economy. The economy is much more substantial than oil and gas. It is about agriculture, value added, industrial development, human resource advancement, health as a foreign earner, education as a foreign currency earner, knowledge transfer, technology. This is the economy we're talking about. An economy that will be shaped and driven by highly skilled human resource base. And that has more potential than any singular oil and gas economy. And that is the economy we're targeting. For that, we require people. We require people. And this is where we have a natural population that we can go back to. That is the diaspora. But the diaspora also have to be ready and willing to engage and to come back. Yes, there will be risk. I'm not standing here to tell you everything is smooth and beautiful. Of course there'll be risk where there is no risk. There will be challenges. But don't say you want to be part of the development and then list 1,000 challenges why you cannot be there. Then you'll never be there. Successful businesses makes bold decisions, courageous decisions. Successful individuals also make bold and courageous decisions. So, whilst I agree, our natural pool is a diaspora, of which Canada has a large proportion. But that diaspora also has to be ready and willing to engage. I am known to say it as I see it. That is why today I had 3 briefs. 1 diplomatic, 1 business-oriented, and 1 smoothing. I rather to take the natural course and to say what I think we need to put on the table. This chambers did not just come about. I've had a distinguished honor to sit and talk to Richard White, and I want us to put our hands together for the work he did, who we lost along the way. Someone who I had personally, like Annan, tremendous hope of getting back home here to utilize his skills. But the opportunities are many. Suresh Bihari shared some very interesting proposals, none of which has anything to do with oil and gas, but a lot to do with people transformation, land transformation. I mentioned a few days ago at the Guyana Manufacturers and Services Association, our plans of building and creating a secondary tongue that is natural. It will be a natural offshoot of the development. Let me be very clear. This is not wishful thinking. This is not long-term thinking. This is near-term thinking. And we're looking for investors. We're looking for capital. And we're looking for persons who are willing to take the risk for a rewarding future. So the door is open. We're looking at the creation and development of an agro-industrial zone that, of course, will benefit from tremendous tax incentives, from packaging. All of this, of course, relies on cheaper energy, and you will get that. We will get that. And we'll get it very quickly. We set a very ambitious target of getting that before 2023. And we're going to meet that target. We have no other choice. We have to meet that target. These are the things that would create new opportunities. There are certain growth areas that will bring with it many potential opportunity for investment. But key to this is for us as Guyanese to learn to put Guyana first. We have a serious problem, and I'm saying this with our Canadian partners, because sometimes the headlines can be misleading. We are a strongly knitted country that will realize its true potential in a united way. But we have always been negotiating from behind. For the first time, we are negotiating from in front and with greater strength. I'll give you some simple examples. We have been trying to get our produce into one of our closest partners, CARICOM, for years. Still, we're trying. This has to change. We have facilitated investment from other CARICOM countries, from other partners, without any hurdle. Our private sector never came out and complained. Our private sector never said to the government, scale back. The fact of the matter, we have not been treated the same way. It's fact. It has to change. I'm sorry, it has to change. We're going to make the investment. We're going to share the opportunity. But we must get an even and balanced playing field. It took years to get our ice cream in some markets. Or ice cream, to get in some markets. What I'm saying to the Guyanese private sector, this is a time for us to come together. I've asked the Foreign Ministry today to bring a list of all the hurdles we have in every single market in CARICOM. And we're going to put together a joint team of the private sector and the government to break down those hurdles, to get our products in. Guyana is a safe place to invest. Guyana would facilitate investment. We are not going to put hurdles in your way. We're going to facilitate investment. But at the same time, Your government has a responsibility to ensure that you don't have hurdles elsewhere doing business. And this is what we have to work on. So, High Commissioner, we are with you. Canada has been a very important partner. The establishment of the Guyana Chambers represents an overwhelming vote of confidence also in our country's future. It signals the high expectation for Guyana's economic prospect. And this is important for us to understand. We don't want chambers to be falling apart. The world is expressing confidence in Guyana's economy. Today, Canadian private sector, joining with Guyanese private sector, are expressing confidence in the economy. The government has to ensure we work closely with the private sector in realizing that confidence. Recently, my government has been accused of being too business friendly because we pursued some measures that brought some relief to the private sector. My response is that we want to become more business friendlier. We're not taking back the relationship. Businesses help to create wealth, help to generate jobs. It is the role of government to facilitate the growth and development of businesses, whilst at the same time, we facilitate the development of our human resources. We ensure that we collect enough revenue so that all of our population can have the best possible health care and the best possible education. That is the role of government. Equally, though, is the role of facilitating business. So I think I have answered that notion of the government relationship with the private sector. Guyana and Canada have signed agreements which further economic relations. The two countries have inked a convention of the avoidance of double taxation and the prevention of fiscal evasion with respect to taxes on income and for the encouragement of international trade and investment. Guyana is also a beneficiary of the Caribbean-Canada Trade Agreement. Guyana anticipates that it will continue to benefit from duty-free access to the Canadian market under this or any successor agreement. So, High Commissioner, whilst our economy will be advancing, I know positions can change, but we are looking not only for the continuation of this duty-free access, but the expansion of the access. And with this Guyana-Canada chambers, I think we can ensure that we work together to continue this and expand it. Our economic relations undoubtedly have been a success story. From the beginning of our relationship, it has been truly a success story. For matter of fact, 1/3 of Guyana exports went to Canada in 2009. You play a significant role in the mining sector. We're looking forward for that role to expand with the partnership with Guyanese businesses into other sectors, the creation of new type of businesses, healthcare, education. I said to a forum a few days ago, health tourism in Canada in India is an important business. And a high percentage of the market is taken up by the Indian diaspora in both the United States and Canada. We are 5 and 6 hours apart between those two markets. The local private sector need to get aggressive, get to those Indian providers or other providers of similar nature and make the investment here. We are closer to the market. We can reach the market faster. We're in the same time zone. We have the skill sets that can be complemented. We just have to have the will and the drive to get it done. We are going to give more and more incentives to create opportunities in the health and education sector. Look at St. George's in Grenada, a teaching hospital. The formula is very simple. They use internationally renowned names, and it becomes attractive, and you get the accreditation. Now that we have this relationship between Guyana and Canada, we should seek to get the accreditation from Canada. Let us list what is needed to get the accreditation. Let us get the accreditation and create a new opportunity, a whole new area, a whole new opportunity here. Soon, we'll be linked to the development in Brazil, a road link, a bridge to Suriname. Enormous market potential. And you have many North American students who go to those other universities. It's a business. Opportunities are there. We have to not only target those opportunities, but to go aggressively after those opportunities. Canada's foreign policy, as I understand it, is grounded in respect for democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. Investors factor these principles into the decision-making matrix. If democracy, human rights, and the rule of law are jeopardized, it increases the political risk of doing business, and by extension, the cost of investment. Investors generally prefer stable democracies where respect for the rule of law exists. Such an environment enables economic freedom and is thus supportive of trade and investment. I want to thank the High Commissioner, the staff, and Canada, not only for the role they play in their presence, but for backing that up with financial resources in the difficult 5 months we have had. I ask you to put your hands together for this. And I want to assure you that in my inauguration speech, I committed to convening a meeting between all former presidents of Guyana, and I have named December the 15th as the date of the first meeting. Democracy was greatly tested this year in Guyana, but democracy prevailed. Canada was among the countries which stood up and called for the democratic will of the Guyanese people to be respected. During my inauguration address, I thanked the members of the diplomatic community who fearlessly defended our people's political rights. Canada was in the forefront of this defense, and it was Her Excellency Lillian Chatterjee, the High Commissioner of Canada-Guyana, who courageously represented the values for which her country stood. I ask you all to give High Commissioner Lillian Chatterjee a resounding round of applause. I will surely miss High Commissioner Chatterjee for her frankness and openness, for her dialogue, and we have been talking a lot, sharing ideas. She has been a diplomat of a different style. And I must say, Guyana benefited from that style. I'm sure that you will convey to your successor our hope for a stronger partnership. I thank you again for standing up for Guyana. Last night on the news, High Commissioner said that she wants this chamber to be her legacy. With these respectable and honorable people who form the board of this chamber, I can say, High Commissioner, your legacy is intact. To the board, I urge you to think outside of the box, to look beyond the narrow news headlines that Guyana receives these days. That's oil and gas. We have one of the best tourism products. We can compete any day with Costa Rica. We don't have the investment. We don't have the airlift, especially from Canada. This is one of the areas that we need more competition in airlift. So if you can help us to facilitate the growth of our tourism sector, we will also be more than grateful to not only encourage you, but to facilitate those investments. There is no better time than now to have this interest in Guyana. There is no better opportunity than to make use of all that is ahead in our economy. But at the end of it, the greatest transfer we can make is a transfer to better the human resource base of Guyana. We have definitely bettered the human resource base of Canada. I always say that the Port Moran Training Institute, Gaisuku Port Moran Training Institute, has contributed to Canada most of your leading machinists in those workshops. So I think we have the reverse role now of getting some of that. Hopefully the self-sponsorship scheme doesn't get easier. So on behalf of the government, and let me take this opportunity also to thank Winston and all of the guys and girls who did such a brilliant job in pulling this together. But your work has now started. Please rest assured, you have the support of the government. You have the support of the private sector of Guyana. You have the support of AmSham, because I know they've been working in a collaborative way. And we can only be stronger together. May God bless all of you. Thank you very much. And please have a happy holiday season and a new year that will bring great investment to Guyana. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you, ministers, diplomatic corps, board of directors, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for coming. This concludes our program for today. For more information about the Canada-Guyana Chamber of Commerce, please visit our website, cgcc.gy. Thank you all.
The government of Guyana has begun the rollout of the COVID-19 $25,000 household cash grant. Citizens are being advised that there is no pre-registration requirement. Clearly identified distribution clerks under the supervision of the Ministry of Finance will visit the respective households to verify credentials. Following this exercise, distribution will be done on a house-to-house basis. In cases where there are multiple households in one home, only the principal householder will receive the cash grant in the first instance. However, the other householders will be required to provide their information on a pink form, and following verification, they will receive the cash grant. The $25,000 household cash grant is in keeping with the government's promise to provide economic relief during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Hi, my name is Ramnere Sawan, former Guyana and West Indies cricketer. When I played, I wore my protective gear to protect me at all times from any injuries. Now we're in a pandemic, I'm kindly asking you to follow the Ministry of Health guidelines. Wear a mask covering your nose, mouth, and chin. Wash your hands with soap and water or use a hand sanitizer. Once in public, ensure you stand 6 feet from others. This is a message from the Ministry of Health and Ramnere Sawan.
Going to be lots of excitement, ideas for the holiday season, entertainment, and much more on the beauty of Christmas.
Join NCN weekdays from December 7 at 13 hours.
Fellow Guyanese, I am Dharam Kumar Siraj, General Secretary of the Guyana Rice Producers Association. My message to you here today is to say that our world is changing. Today, coronavirus or COVID-19 is wreaking havoc across the globe. In Guyana, we are also affected. We must take steps to address this concern if we are to survive. We must, as a priority, wear our masks, especially when we are in public spaces. When we are among people, we must maintain social distance. When we are at home, we must also practice the measures that are outlined. The folks in the agriculture sector must also be aware that they can become infected. Infection can be known or unknown. There are symptomatic cases and asymptomatic cases, which basically means you can have the virus, but without signs. Wearing the mask prevents you from spreading it, and wearing the mask prevents you from contracting it. So let us all be careful. Let us all resolve to wear our masks at all times, especially when we're in public spaces.